A world ruled by addiction. People living by the gun and dying by it. People's only motivation to live is through money. The root of all evil. What do they buy, you say? Only things that make their lives worse. Only because to them, it's the only thing that makes them happy. But, judging from their faces, it seems more like they're manipulating themselves. If their heart tells them that addiction is okay, then is it really okay to follow your hearts all the time? This is the story to Fate's Gamble. Hello. Welcome back again. So, today's devlog will be about my story for Fate's Gamble. And okay, hold on. Technically, it's about my story. Really, I'm gonna be talking a lot about my new game mechanic that I'm adding. But my game mechanic is, for the story. You'll see. Anyways, what should we start off with? I guess I should explain the intro a little bit. My story is based off of Fate. My story is based off of Buckshot Roulette's main message, which is about addiction. It's a great message, and I wanted to do something like that, but more story surrounding it. I think it's a really great idea. And this also goes into your choices. Since this story will be a choose-your-own adventure, like I stated before in my itch.io devlogs, I want the player to have a choice of, should I accept this person or should I judge this person? See, you can basically handle any situation you want in your own way. Of course, there's a slight problem, though. I may not agree with your choices. See, I do want the player to have a choice, but at the same time, I also have a message to teach. And so, there's a bit of a problem where it's my morality versus the players. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but basically, my way to prevent this is with my new game mechanic that I have, and it's called the Dominated System. Here's how the Dominated System works. If you die by a specific opponent, you now become dominated, and that opponent becomes a dominator. It encourages the player to go after that person, whether that be by killing them to get back at them, or pacifying them. This is based off of Team Fortress 2, where if you die from an opponent a lot, you would become dominated. And it would just encourage you more to go after that person specifically. It's like you have a connection to that person now. It's such a great idea. Wait, but how would that person remember you if you die in the game? Yeah, that's the thing about my game. It isn't like every other game. Most games, when you die, the game treats it as non-canon, like you never died in the first place. My game is not like that. Every time you die, people know that you have died and came back to life. So that opponent from before that dominated you, you can find him, and he will remember you. Now I am thinking maybe I should add the domination system to every opponent you meet, but I might just make it to only certain opponents. See, I kind of want the dominated system to be specifically towards opponents that come after you for your actions. So look at it this way. I want the player to have the freedom to do whatever they want. But again, like I said before, I have a message to teach. My morality might be different from the players. See, I may not agree if the player pacifies everyone, but I still want them to have a happy ending if they choose to get a pacifist ending. So instead of doing what Undertale or what the Walking Dead Telltale game does, where they have someone critique your actions.
We were starving. It was cold.
So my family starved in the cold!
I'll just have opponents come at you at random times to critique your actions. and it's up to you to pacify them or kill them. They might either be a representation of your character to basically show how evil that person is, or maybe you only encounter them because they don't like your actions. So the player can still make their own moral choices, while I still get to put my own morality in there. A mix of connection to the opponent, the story continuing and changing after you die, and the player having free will is the way I want to continue this story. Will I be able to do it? Well, I plan to make another video talking about my thoughts on when the game will come out, because I do realize I'm adding more things to my game, and I have to be careful about that. Anyways, how would I find my Dominator? See, that Dominator was the one that found you, not you that found him. So that's a very good question to ask. My idea is to use the keyword system. If you guys don't know, it was from Final Fantasy II. The reason I'm having it is because I feel like I can make more interesting dialogue with characters. A huge problem with RPGs is that talking to NPCs is so boring. I've talked about it before, but I do think this can help make interactions actually matter instead of just basic stuff that nobody cares about. Now, what does this have to do with finding a Dominator? Well, let me give an example. That Dominator may say his name. That name will be added as a keyword, so you can go around asking NPCs about their name, and they might help lead you to that Dominator. It's a very detective style. Now let me tell you this other idea I have for when you kill a Dominator. If you kill the Dominator, someone else will take their place and come after you, so they can get revenge for what you did to them. This is a great way to keep the story going and feel like your own run of the game is unique, instead of just the interactive story part being the main way to change the story up. It really helps that I'm taking a lot of interest from D&D, despite never playing it. Because stuff like making a specific moral story for my players' characters makes me feel like I'm the dungeon master. Which is why I use Felix's tips for my game, even though I'm using his tutorial for my video game rather than a D&D session. In Felix's video, he talks about yes and, yes but, no but, and of course, no and. Basically, these are ways to respond to the player's actions, so the story keeps going, and you never really deny the player's request so they can feel like they have their own choices. Like how you can choose to make friends with anyone in my game. However, let's give an example of yes but. See, when it comes to horror game characters, they tend to be quite cuckoo. This is to give the feeling of loneliness despite being around them. And this is what I want from my game. But of course not everyone of my characters is, gone crazy. There are characters that are genuinely normal. So it could break the feeling of loneliness. So let's say you successfully get a normal person on your team. I don't like that, so I'll use a yes but situation. Yes, you can have them on your team, but that person on your team may do some things you don't want. Maybe he could kill a character that you like, or pacify someone you didn't like. This is to create some decidophobia, so next time the player will be more cautious. Also, since you can just pacify them, it's good to point out what the partner system is like, as I added some new ideas. I'm still having thoughts on whether I should have a partner system, so I really do hope I keep all that I say here. My idea is that when you pacify someone, you have the option to keep them as a partner. Unlike other RPGs where the game designer only has certain characters be your partner, I'll throw in some small things that I should mention. If you die by a Dominator, they could do some things like rob you of your money, break your gun, or they could even get XP from you. Yeah, you don't see that a lot in RPGs. For good reason. But still, also NPCs will react to your choices. For example, I could have a section of the game where the player can choose to pacify someone from an evil organization. And the other members of that organization will remember that. Now it's a good time to talk about the things I got rid of. Enemies would only be in battle if you chose to battle them. The reason was that I realized the axe system worked in Undertale because you could dodge attacks. If you couldn't dodge attacks, well then it felt like a timer was going down. Like you're just gonna die in like a certain amount of moves anyway, so why bother pacifying someone? If you could at least attack them, then you know, it could help you out. But of course, you know, my game doesn't really have something like Undertale where you can just dodge attacks. In Fate's Gamble, because of its Russian roulette battle system, you're forced to take a hit. One of my ideas was to make your actions timed, so you could pacify someone when you're in battle. So what I mean by that is that you must make an action under 1 minute, you know, something like that. When you do make an action, the time resets. So if you use roll, you have to act fast because you want to say something, just something before the timer counts to 0. If it counts to 0, your opponent gets a turn. And so now you just wasted a turn. Another thing that I got rid of was basic enemies not getting huge interactions with the roll system. I was thinking about giving basic opponents very huge dialogue, so they would feel like real human beings with feelings rather than just an obstacle to get rid of in the game. However, I had to realize I don't need to make every opponent this huge character. I will do that with some opponents, but definitely not all. See, in Undertale, the main characters there get a lot of screen time, compared to, of course, basic enemies. So my idea is to have a more interactive role system for the main characters of my game, and the more common opponents get a short yet creative, you know, role interaction with them. I'll end this video off with how to find lore. Basically, there will be VHS tapes around the map that could be just on the ground, and they can give you a lot of information, whether that be about how the world got this way or how a character came to be. But why are they there? Who leaves a VHS tape on the ground? These are questions you have to ask. Of course, I don't want to reveal so much in my game, so right now I think this is a good way to talk about my story and my little new game mechanic that I'm really interested in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. By all means, please go check out my devlog and play the beta of my game. Alright, see you guys very soon. Bye.